Commander Park Min-ho watched the last civilian transport ship fade into the darkness of space. The evacuation of New Sol Colony was finally complete after 3 weeks of desperate work. 37 years of human dreams and hard labor were now just empty buildings on a distant planet. "Sir, the Galactic Council is sending another message," said Lieutenant Kim Ha-eun from her station. Her voice was steady, but Min-ho could hear the anger underneath. The blue hologram appeared in front of them. A tall, crystal-like alien from the Zephyrian Empire looked down at them with cold, glowing eyes. Its voice sounded like breaking glass when it spoke. "Humans have exactly 7 days left to leave all disputed star systems. This is your final warning. There will be no exceptions." Min-ho felt his hands curl into fists. The 3 most powerful alien races in the galaxy had made their decision. The Zephyrians with their crystal ships, the bug-like Nexari with their hive minds, and the ghost-like Veil Collective had all agreed on one thing. Humans were too dangerous to live alongside other species. Too violent, too unpredictable, too willing to fight when cornered. "Message received," Min-ho replied in a flat voice. The hologram disappeared. Around the bridge, his crew worked in silence. They had all heard the stories from other colonies. Families forced to leave everything behind. Farms and factories abandoned. Children crying as they were taken from the only homes they had ever known. All because the galaxy's rulers had decided humanity needed to be locked away in their home system like dangerous animals. "Sir," Ha-eun called out quietly. "Long-range sensors are picking up something strange." Min-ho walked over to her station. "What is it?" "There are still human settlements in the graveyard sector. At least 15 different locations. They're not responding to evacuation orders." Min-ho studied the star charts on her screen. The graveyard sector was exactly what it sounded like. Dead star systems with dying suns, empty asteroid fields, and planets that no alien species wanted. The space between the systems was filled with dangerous radiation storms and unstable jump points that made travel nearly impossible. "How many people are we talking about?" he asked. "Based on the energy signatures, maybe 3,000 humans spread across 12 systems. Some of the settlements look pretty big." Min-ho was quiet for a long moment. He thought about his own family back on Earth, waiting for him to come home. He thought about his duty to follow orders and bring every human back to safety. But he also thought about the people who had chosen to stay behind rather than give up their freedom. "They're not coming back, are they?" Ha-eun asked. "Would you?" Min-ho replied. She shook her head. "No, sir. I don't think I would." The next few days were the hardest of Min-ho's life. He received orders to use force if necessary to bring back the remaining humans. The Galactic Council was very clear that no humans could be left behind in the outer systems, but when he tried to reach the settlements in the graveyard sector, he got the same answer every time. "We're not leaving," said Dr. Lee Ji-woo, speaking for the colony on Kepler 442c. Her image on the screen showed a woman in her 30s with dirt on her face and determination in her eyes. "We've built something here. This is our home now." The Galaxy won't protect you out there," Min-ho warned her. "You'll be completely alone." "We've been alone since the day they decided we were too dangerous to live with," she replied. "At least now we can be alone on our own terms." Other settlement leaders said similar things. They had farms growing food in alien soil. They had mines, pulling metals from dead asteroids. They had workshops building tools and machines from whatever they could find. They had children being born under foreign stars who would never see Earth. Most importantly, they had freedom. On the final day, Min-ho made his choice. Instead of reporting the exact locations of the hidden settlements, he marked them as swept and cleared in his official reports. If the Galactic Council wanted to find every last human in the outer systems, they could do their own searching. "All fleet units prepare for jump to Earth," he announced to his ships. "Our mission here is complete." As the human fleet disappeared into hyperspace, the forgotten settlements continued their work. On worlds the galaxy considered worthless, humans were building something new, something the aliens would never understand until it was too late. Dr. Lee Ji-woo stood in her colony's main hall, looking at the children playing games they had invented using pieces of ancient alien technology they had found buried in the ground. The galaxy had cast them aside, but maybe that was exactly what humanity needed. Let them think we're gone, she whispered to herself. We'll show them what humans can really do when no one is watching. The great abandonment was complete, but it was only the beginning of humanity's real story among the stars. 5 years had passed since the great abandonment, and Dr. Li Jiwu could hardly believe what she was seeing. The settlement on Kepler 440c had grown from a small group of stubborn humans into a thriving community of over 2,000 people. What had once been a dead, rocky planet was now covered with green gardens and busy workshops. The food production is up 30% this month, reported engineer Choi Hyunwoo over the radio. His voice was excited as he spoke from the main growing facility. These ancient machines keep getting better at helping our crops grow. It's like they're learning from us. Jiwoo smiled as she walked through the colony's central square. Children were playing games around strange metal structures that hummed with soft blue light. The adults called them architect ruins because no one knew who had built them or when. They had found the ancient technology buried all over the planet when they first arrived. At first, the ruins had seemed completely dead, just odd-shaped metal and crystal formations that served no purpose. But something amazing had happened as the humans settled around them. The alien technology had slowly come to life, responding to human presence and somehow understanding what the colonists needed. Any word from the other settlements? Jiwoo asked Hyunwoo as she reached the engineering section. 17 confirmed colonies across the Forgotten Systems now, he replied, wiping oil from his hands. All of them are reporting the same thing. The architect ruins are waking up wherever humans are living, and they all seem to want to help us. Jiwoo nodded and looked out the window at a group of teenagers working on a water purification system. The machine was half human engineering and half ancient alien technology. It should not have worked at all, but somehow it was producing clean water faster than anything the galaxy's advanced civilizations could build. That was the strange thing about the architect technology. It did not follow normal rules. It seemed to respond to human creativity and willingness to try new things. When human engineers tried to fix something, the alien machines would adapt to help them. When farmers needed better soil, the ruins would somehow change the ground to help plants grow. Dr. Lee, called out Park So-young, running up to her with a tablet in her hands. You need to see this message from the other colonies. Jiwoo read the report and felt her heart beat faster. Every human settlement in the Forgotten Systems was reporting the same discovery. Deep underground, massive architect facilities were powering up. Some looked like factories. Others seemed to be weapons. All of them were far more advanced than anything the current galactic civilizations had ever built. This is from Dr. Kim Tae-woo on Kepler 7G, So-young explained. He thinks the architects were the original rulers of this galaxy millions of years ago, but they disappeared for some reason. Jiwoo studied the images that Tae-woo had sent. The underground facility was enormous, with machines that could apparently build anything the humans could imagine, but what worried her were the warning symbols carved into the walls. Pictures of creatures coming from outside the galaxy, destroyers that had wiped out the architects long ago. Send a message back to Dr. Kim, Jiwoo ordered. Tell him we need to meet, all the settlement leaders together. That evening, Jiwoo stood on the observation deck of their communications center. Below her, the colony glowed with warm lights. Human children were playing in gardens that grew from alien soil. Human adults were building tools and machines that combined their own knowledge with technology. From a dead civilization, the galaxy had thrown them away like garbage. But the humans had found something the galaxy's rulers had missed, or maybe ignored. The architect ruins were scattered throughout the worthless systems, waiting for someone willing to work hard and think creatively. Dr. Lee, Hyunwoo called from behind her. We're getting reports from our scouts. Galactic Council ships have been spotted at the edge of our territory. Just watching. Not coming closer, but definitely keeping an eye on us. Jiwoo was not surprised. For years, the galaxy had believed the outer systems were empty. But now human settlements were using technologies that should not exist. Ships built with human engineering and architect enhancements were moving through space in ways that confused alien sensors. "Let them watch," she said quietly. "They threw us into the darkness because they thought we were dangerous. They have no idea how dangerous we've become." A new message appeared on her tablet. Dr. Kim Tae-woo had made a discovery that changed everything. The architect technology was not just helping humans survive. It was preparing them for something. The ancient warning spoke of enemies that would return from the space between galaxies. The same enemies that had destroyed the architects were coming back. And somehow, the architect machines believed that humans were the ones who could stop them. Jiwoo looked up at the stars and wondered if the galaxy that had cast them aside would ask for their help when the real danger arrived. The forgotten humans had spent 5 years learning to forge their own path through the darkness. Soon they might have to light the way for everyone else. Dr. Kim Tae-woo stood in front of the massive alien structure, watching its surface pulse with bright blue energy. The architect construct on Kepler 7G had been completely dead when his team first found it 6 months ago. Now it was fully alive, responding to every human who came near it. "The translation system is working perfectly," he spoke into his recording device. "We can finally understand what the architects were trying to tell us. The ancient aliens had ruled this entire galaxy millions of years ago. Their technology was so advanced that it made the current galactic powers look like children playing with simple toys. But something terrible had happened to them. They had not been destroyed by war or disease. They had simply stopped growing and changing." "Professor, you really need to see this," called his assistant, Park So-young, from across the massive chamber. Tae-woo hurried over to where she was standing in front of a giant holographic display. The images showed the history of the architect, civilization in moving pictures that seemed to float in the air. He watched as the proud alien race slowly became lazy and comfortable. They stopped exploring new worlds. They stopped creating new technologies. They became exactly like the current galactic powers. "They grew weak," So-young whispered. "Just like the Zephyrians and Nexari today." The hologram changed to show something that made both humans step backward in fear. Dark shapes moved through the empty space between galaxies. They were called the Devourers, and they fed on entire civilizations. When they found a galaxy full of weak, comfortable races, they swept through like a plague, destroying everything in their path. This is why the architects disappeared, Tae-woo realized. The Devourers came and wiped them out because they had become too soft to fight back. But the images showed something else. Before they died, the architects had prepared for the next time the Devourers would return. They had built secret facilities throughout the galaxy, hiding them in the worthless star systems that future civilizations would ignore. They had filled these facilities with weapons, factories, and defensive systems far beyond anything the modern galaxy possessed. "Look at this part." So-young pointed to new symbols appearing on the display. "The technology only activates for species that show certain qualities." Tae-woo studied the alien writing that the translation system converted into simple words. The architect machines would only work for races that demonstrated strength in the face of hardship. Species that could adapt and create new solutions when everything seemed hopeless. Races that refused to give up even when the entire galaxy turned against them. "They were looking for someone like us," he said quietly. "Someone who could take their technology and use it properly." The hologram showed detailed plans for incredible machines, factories that could build entire fleets of warships in days instead of years, weapons that could destroy the Devourer ships that normal galactic technology could not even scratch, defensive systems that could protect whole star systems from attack. All of it was hidden in the forgotten systems where the galaxy had exiled humanity. "Send an emergency message to all the human settlements," Tae-woo ordered. "Tell them we need to start activating everything we can find. I think we're running out of time." Over the next few weeks, reports came in from every human colony. Banaki. Architect ruins were powering up everywhere humans lived. On New Busan, they found a massive shipyard that could build vessels using materials pulled directly from space. On New Incheon, underground factories began producing weapons and armor unlike anything humans had ever seen. The most amazing discovery came from Dr. Lee Ji-woo's colony on Kepler 442c. Her team had found what appeared to be a training facility. When humans entered the chambers, the architect technology would teach them how to use the advanced systems. It was like the ancient aliens had built a school specifically for the species that would replace them. The children are learning faster than the adults, Jiwoo reported during their weekly conference call. It's like the architect systems were designed for minds that haven't been limited by old ways of thinking. Taewoo was not surprised. Human children who had grown up around the alien technology seemed to understand it instinctively. They could operate machines that confused experienced engineers. They could solve problems that stumped the smartest scientists. But there was disturbing news as well. The deep space monitoring stations that the architects had left behind were detecting movement at the edge of the galaxy, the same dark signatures that the ancient records associated with the Devourers. "How long do we have?" asked Dr. Choi Hyun-woo during one of their planning meetings. Taewoo studied the data from the monitoring stations. Based on their previous patterns, maybe 20 years, possibly less. It seemed like a long time, but Taewoo knew it was not nearly enough. The Devourers had destroyed a civilization that had millions of years to prepare. Humanity had been in the forgotten systems for less than a decade, but humans had something the architects had lost. They remembered how to fight for survival. They knew how to adapt and change when faced with impossible challenges. They had spent years learning to thrive in places where other species would have simply died. "Send word to all the settlements," Taewoo commanded. "We need to accelerate the awakening process. The galaxy cast us aside, but we're about to become their only hope." 20 years had passed since the galaxy threw humanity into the darkness, and Admiral Park Min-ho stood in the command center of New Terra Station. The massive space station was built inside a hollowed-out asteroid using architect technology that could shape metal and rock like clay. Around him, dozens of officers worked at control panels that glowed with the blue light of ancient alien systems. "Admiral, Galactic Council patrol ships are reporting strange contacts in Sector 7, announced Captain Jung Da-eun from the tactical station. Her voice carried a hint of amusement. "They say our scout ships are using technologies they cannot identify." Min-ho smiled as he looked at the star map showing human territory. What the aliens saw as empty space was actually a thriving network of hidden colonies connected by jump routes that only humans knew how to navigate. The forgotten systems had become something the galaxy never expected. "Let them be confused," Min-ho replied. "What about the long-range sensors?" Young's expression became serious. "The deep space monitoring stations are tracking massive movement at the galactic rim. The architect warning systems estimate the Devourers will reach inhabited space in approximately 3 months." Through the observation windows, Min-ho watched human vessels unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The ships were sleek and powerful, built with human engineering enhanced by architect technology. They could travel through dangerous space that would destroy normal vessels. They carried weapons that could punch through shields no alien ship could penetrate. Most importantly, they were crewed by people who had spent 2 decades learning to survive in impossible conditions. "Signal all fleet commanders," Min-ho ordered. "It's time to let the galaxy know what happened to the humans they cast aside." The first sign of change came when a Zephyrian exploration fleet encountered human ships in what they thought was empty space. The crystal aliens sent frantic messages back to their homeworld, reporting vessels that moved in ways that defied their understanding of physics. "They appeared from nowhere," the Zephyrian captain transmitted. "Their ships are using some kind of technology we have never seen. They did not attack us, but they made it very clear that we were in their territory now." Similar reports came in from across the galaxy. Nexari hive ships found human settlements on worlds they had marked as lifeless. Veil Collective scouts discovered mining operations in asteroid fields they thought were worthless. Everywhere the galactic powers looked, they found evidence that humanity had not only survived their exile, but had grown stronger. Dr. Lee Ji-woo, now the elected leader of the Outer Colony Council, received a formal message from the Galactic Council for the first time in 20 years. The holographic image showed all 3 alien leaders looking uncomfortable and worried. "We wish to open diplomatic relations with the human settlements," the Zephyrian speaker said in a carefully polite voice. "Perhaps we can discuss mutual cooperation." Jiwoo, laughed out loud. 20 years ago, you told us we were too dangerous to live in civilized space. You forced us to leave everything behind and find new homes in systems you considered worthless. Now you want to talk? The situation has changed, the Nexari representative buzzed. We have detected signs of an approaching threat from outside our galaxy. Our scientists believe cooperation between all civilized species will be necessary. Your scientists are right, Jiwoo replied. But you're talking to the wrong people. We're not the same humans you exiled. We're something new. The truth was that humanity had become something the galaxy could barely understand. The children who had grown up in the forgotten systems could operate architect technology as easily as their ancestors had used simple tools. They thought in ways that combined human creativity with alien logic. They saw solutions where others saw only problems. Meanwhile, the Devourers continued their approach from the space between galaxies. The ancient enemy that had destroyed the architects was returning, and they were exactly as terrible as the old warnings had predicted. They moved in vast fleets of ships that could adapt to any weapon used against them. They consumed entire star systems to fuel their endless hunger. Admiral, Captain Young reported, we're receiving distress signals from the Outer Rim. The Devourers have made contact with Galactic Council forces. Minho studied the tactical displays showing the first battles. The mighty Zephyrian crystal ships, which had once seemed invincible, were being torn apart like paper. The Nexari hive fleets, with their millions of coordinated vessels, scattered like frightened insects. The ethereal Veil Collective simply vanished from space, abandoning their territories without a fight. All human fleet commanders, this is Admiral Park Min-ho. He broadcast to the hidden human forces throughout the galaxy. For 20 years we have prepared for this moment. Today we do not fight for the galaxy that abandoned us. We fight for the future we have built in the darkness. Across dozens of star systems, human fleets emerged from hiding places the galactic powers had never suspected existed. Ships built with architect technology and crewed by people who had learned to thrive where others would die, moved toward the approaching storm. The galaxy that had cast humanity aside was about to discover what they had really created in the forgotten systems. The Devourer fleet emerged from the dark space between galaxies like a nightmare made real. Their ships looked like massive metal insects that could change shape as they moved. They swept through the outer rim of the galaxy, destroying everything in their path with weapons that adapted to counter any defense. Admiral Park Min-ho, now 70 years old but still sharp as a blade, watched the battle reports from the bridge of the human ascendant. The ship was built from human engineering combined with architect technology, making it unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen before. The Zephyrian Third Fleet has been completely destroyed, reported Admiral Kim Ha-un, his former communications officer, who now commanded the Second Human Fleet. Their crystal ships just shattered when the Devourer weapons hit them. What about the Nexari? Minho asked. Their hive fleet scattered after losing contact with their queen ships. The Veil Collective has simply vanished from all their territories. Minho was not surprised. The three great galactic powers had grown soft and comfortable during their long rule. They had massive fleets and powerful weapons, but they had forgotten how to fight for survival. Their rigid military tactics and careful battle plans meant nothing against an enemy that could adapt to any strategy. All human vessels, this is Admiral Park Min-ho. He broadcast to the hidden fleets throughout the galaxy. Today we do not fight for the galaxy that abandoned us 25 years ago. We fight for the future we have built in the darkness they forced us into. The human collective's response was swift and devastating. Ships emerged from asteroid fields, gas clouds, and radiation storms where they had been hiding for decades. The vessels moved through space in ways that confused the Devourer sensors, using jump routes through dangerous areas that other species considered impossible to navigate. Unlike the aliens who relied on massive fleets and overwhelming firepower, humans fought with small groups of highly mobile ships. When the Devourers adapted to one type of attack, human crews would immediately switch to something completely different. Where alien commanders followed strict battle plans, human captains improvised and created new tactics on the spot. Dr. Lee Ji-woo, now in her 50s and serving as the civilian council leader, watched the battles from the command center on New Terra Station. The young girl who had once chosen exile over surrender had become one of the most important leaders in human space. The Devourers are having trouble adapting to our fighting style, reported Captain Jung Da-eun from the front lines. Every time they think they understand our weapons, we hit them with something new. This was the advantage humanity had gained from 25 years of survival in the Forgotten Systems. Human engineers had learned to build machines that could be modified quickly during battle. Human soldiers had learned to think creatively when faced with impossible odds. Human children who had grown up with architect technology could operate systems that confused experienced alien scientists. The turning point came during the Battle of the Kepler Nebula. A massive Devourer fleet had cornered the last surviving Galactic Council forces, preparing to wipe them out completely. The alien ships were trapped with nowhere to run, facing an enemy they could not defeat. That was when the human fleets arrived. "This is Admiral Park Min-ho to all Galactic Council vessels," Min-ho broadcast on open channels. "We are taking command of this battle. Follow our lead or get out of our way." The human ships moved through the nebula like ghosts, using the dangerous gas clouds and radiation storms as cover. They struck the Devourer fleet from directions the aliens had not thought possible, hitting weak points that only human sensors could detect. Within 6 hours, the entire Devourer fleet was destroyed. The aliens who had seemed unstoppable just days before were reduced to floating debris. 3 days later, the last Devourer ship in the galaxy was eliminated. The invasion that should have destroyed all civilized life had been stopped by the species the galaxy had tried to exile. "The Galactic Council is requesting immediate diplomatic contact," Admiral Ha-yun reported with barely hidden amusement. "They want to discuss terms for cooperation." Min-ho looked out at the stars that had once cast humanity aside. Damaged alien ships limped back to their home systems, their crews trying to understand how the dangerous humans had saved them. "All. Tell the council representatives they can submit an application to join the human collective," he replied. "As junior members, not as rulers." "Sir, they're asking what authority we have to make such demands." Min-ho smiled. "Tell them we have the authority of beings who spent 25 years learning to survive in the darkness while they grew soft and weak. Tell them we have the authority of the only species in this galaxy that remembers how to fight." In his final log entry as Supreme Admiral, Min-ho wrote, "The galaxy believed they were protecting themselves by casting us into the Forgotten Systems. Instead, they created the perfect conditions for humanity to become what this galaxy truly needed. We are no longer the species they feared. We are the species they must follow." Humanity spread throughout the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as guardians. Using the wisdom gained from the architects and the strength forged in exile, they built a new galactic order where survival and growth went hand in hand. The Forgotten had become the rulers, and the galaxy was finally safe.